Welcome to the VIP Masterclass series. I'm Josh Wright, and today's guided practice session is based on the fifth Paganini Etude. I am currently working on this entire set of pieces to perform in December just for a little local private concert. But this is a set that I've always wanted to finish. I performed number 3, commonly referred to as La Campanella, and then number 6, which is based on the 24th Paganini Caprice. And you can see some performances of those from my past on YouTube. Today I wanted to hit number 5. Okay, and there's different ways of interpreting this. Like Daniel Trifonov is much more lyrical with that. Kissin is much more vertical. I like to be somewhere between those two. I do like this short. And I've only worked on this for maybe 4 or 5 weeks at this point. I spent the first week just kind of learning the notes and memorizing it. This one wasn't too bad to memorize. This actually came pretty quickly. But today I wanted to focus on a few things with memory, and then a few things with execution with all the crosses. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do, I'm just going to jump right in. The thing that sets these practice sessions apart from some other ones that you may have seen on YouTube is I like to kind of explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing certain things in my practice sessions, rather than just posting a practice session and having people wonder, well, why is he doing that? Because a lot of times the intent will have a big impact on the choices you make and how you practice. So you might think, oh, long short rhythms, I saw him doing that there for this reason. Well, maybe I was doing long short rhythms because it was uneven. Or maybe I was doing long short rhythms to get the alignment better, or, and so forth. So there's a lot of different reasons why I chose to do it this way, but the primary reason being to give you guys a little bit of insight as to how I practice. Now, I'm not perfect either, but I have learned many things over the years through trial and error, and things that make my practicing a little bit more efficient. So I hope this helps. Let's hit this section first, this ben marcato. Okay, I want to just take this slowly, looking at the music, because I'm always a little suspicious if I'm hitting all of the correct notes. It's really easy in sections like this, when you memorize it, and then you don't work with music every single minute of your practice session. Like you could accidentally, you could put a B in there, whereas it's just a 3 note. So I'm just going to play through this with music one time, just to double check things. And usually your hands will tell you if something's off as you're playing, and you're like, I don't usually do that when I do that memorize. So this is a part of the solidifying process for memorizing, at least for me. So I tend to always go to a full C major chord there. I've got to keep it a 3 note there. So when I find a memorizing mistake, I like to hit it quite a few times like that, just to kind of bake it into my muscles and be thinking about it intellectually. And then I go to the 4-note chord there. Okay, now I always have a tendency to, want to maybe do something like this, rather than, so I'm going to take that nice and slow and hit this measure a few times. So I need to remember that, because sometimes when I get performing this just for myself, I haven't performed it for anybody yet, I will sometimes mix that first one up as well, like an idiot, right? So make sure, my mental cue that I'm going to do this time is I'm going to say, look at the descending line there. So feeling pretty good. I'm a little suspicious. I think that was correct. Yeah, that was correct. So and you might say, who cares, Josh? No one would ever know if you did. I would know, and that bothers me. So I'm going to keep doing it to try to do exactly what the composer wrote. Now, there have been times when I've let things slide, but as I get older and as I continue to develop my piano skills, I have been more bothered by little things like that, even if you can't hear them. So I try not to cheat whenever possible. And there's sometimes where I blatantly cheat due to some technical crazy thing. And even, Sergei Babayan would tell us, if you can divide it a certain way or if you can cheat without anyone knowing, it's not the end of the world. Now, he's not an advocate for cheating. He's got the best technique on earth, I think. But at the same time, I still try to always honor exactly what the composer wrote. So that's why we're doing these really tedious checks. I could play this through for you probably just fine, but I want to make sure I'm playing 3 notes when 3 notes are written and 4 notes when 4 notes are written, even if it's the same harmony that I'm playing, even if it's correct versus, and so forth. Okay, so continuing on. Okay, in there, I just want to maybe isolate. So, and get that feeling of that thumb moving. And then once I hit C, it's going to go 2, 4. So, okay. And I've got 4 notes. Okay, let's do that whole thing. Let's go a little slower. Sure, I hit that full octave. Sure, it's not D7. Make sure it's just a pure D major. And the other reason you might think, well, Josh, did you just do a really sloppy job of memorizing this? I did memorize it pretty quickly, and I haven't worked on it that long. This kind of stuff usually works itself out with time, but since I'm on a deadline, I want to work it out quickly. Because of the way this piece is choreographed, with hands crossing all over the place, it's really easy to get lost, and especially when you're doing thumb, 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 thumb like this. It's disorienting at least for my brain. It can be really disorienting. Whereas if this was all in the right hand, which it's not, and it doesn't sound as good. That's why Liszt wrote it that way. I think it's a lot sharper when it's between the hands. If it was all in one hand, though, you probably wouldn't have these disorienting issues because it would just all be under one hand. But when you're going back and forth, especially when you're crossing your hands or your hands are in tight quarters, alternating like this, it's really important to take things slow and to allow your brain to develop those deeper neural connections, whatever it is. So, so I'm just thinking of that going up. So I'm not necessarily thinking 1, 1, 1, 1 in the right hand anymore because I noticed that was messing with my mind a little bit, maybe making my hand a little tight. I'm just going to watch the line ascend from the previous note.